welcome back and thank you so much for stopping by. So my people, in this particular video, Ozekhome went deep to explain about the new constitution requested by ex-Commonwealth Secretary General Ozekhome and his group Patriots, asking for a new constitution to pass through a referendum. So in this particular video, he went deep to explain everything. According to him, he said that 1999 constitution is the beginning and also the end of the trouble we are having in Nigeria, because there's no way Nigeria will work or go forward under the current constitution that we are having right now. So 85% of Nigerians are also, calling for a new constitution, for Tinubu to, consider this new constitution. So my people, let me allow you guys so that you can listen in detail of everything Ozekhome said here concerning the new constitution. I'm going to be right back.
Which is concerned with nation building. How to have a great country, resourceful country, prosperous country under a constitutional democracy, a people-driven constitution. A country where mutual respect, where genuine peace, social justice, not peace of the graveyard or cemetery, like late Chief M.K. Abiola we call it, will prevail. It was this patriot group that was founded by legendary Chief F.R.A. Williams, who died some years ago at 84. He passed the baton of office to the greatest constitutional lawyer that has emerged from the face of Africa, Professor Ben Nwabueze, senior advocate of Nigeria, who transited last year at the age of 91 years. Then the baton passed on to our present eminent international icon, personality of no mean feat, Chief Emeka Anyaoku, a nonagenarian, 91 years old, who is still bellyaching over the problems of Nigeria. A man who was Secretary General of the 56th Nation Commonwealth of Nations, including Britain, including places like India, controlling Canada. All those countries making about 2.4 billion people in the world. Now, he led us to the president over worries about how the nation is going by making certain demands of the president. And I've had people talk again and again saying, why are we talking about a new constitution? Is that our problem? I said, hello. That is the beginning and the end of our problem. Because a nation without an acceptable and legitimate constitution, which is autochthonous, indigenous, people-driven, can never get nationhood. As the program goes on, I'm going to give you some examples. But first, because the constitution is the birth certificate of a country, is what tells us what system of government that country practices. Is it federalism? Is it unitarism? Is it monarchy? Is it what type of government? Is the constitution that tells us about rules of engagement. For example, Shion, you are going from here to Plateau State, Jos. You have to pass through this place here, Lafia. Is that not so? Mm-hmm. You will be going because you are facing Jos. You will pass through Akwanga. You get to Do. Then you get to Jos. That is the only way you can get it because you are going to Jos. Compare with someone who is going to Jos. And then he decides to face Lokoja. He gets to Okene. He gets to Auchi. He gets to Benin. He takes there to Saple. He starts going to Bayelsa. He is not going to get to Kaduna. What will he do? He must reset by refocusing and coming back.
From your explanation, it does look like Nigeria has been heading for the last almost
Yes,
20 years
yes.
to a journey of nowhere.
Oh, it's a journey to no destination.
Let
me give you
Prof,
another.
just a moment.
Let me give you another
just
example.
A moment, Prof. And in your explanation and in the wisdom of the patriot, and I see the group there, led by Chief Emeka Anyaoku. I see the likes of Ben Obi, the likes of Senator Shehu Sani.
Yeah.
These cut across political bias.
No, it's even non-political.
It's a political
it's non-partisan.
group.
For example, I am not a politician.
Yeah, but you see the personalities there. They are Nigerians, eminent
Nigerians.
So for them to say, and in their major submission to the president, to say that we need Nigerians represented by every ethnic group in a room fixing Nigeria's problems.
Yes.
What are Nigeria's problems? And I, for example, I like to poke your mind. Your intellectual mind, of course, this time around. Maybe not the legal part of your mind. Can you identify 3 of the most pressing problem of Nigeria that we can contextualize into our conversation? What would you say, Prof, if you have the solution on your left hand to fix the problem? What would you identify as 3 major Nigeria problems?
The first one I will identify is lack of nationhood. Nigeria is a country still yearning for nationhood.
What does that mean?
What it means is that we are not united. We are still what Chief Obafemi Awolowo once called a piece of geographical expression. Ahmadu Bello once said it was a piece of historical mistake because we were cobbled together on 3rd January 2014 by Lord Lugard, the Southern and Northern Confederates, and the Lagos colony, after Nigeria had been given her name by a young British author who wrote in the London Financial Times of 8th January 1897, calling it Nigeria, that Niger area.
Mm-hmm.
That is first major problem. In other words, we were cobbled together through the direct and indirect rule system that we were operating, with all of us already enjoying our independence. The Benin Empire, the Oyo Empire, the Kanem Bonu Empire, the ancient Ife. We were already independent, having our own systems of government, and we were happy. Jaja Fopobu, Nana of Ichekiri, Oba of Veramino Baise of Benin, who beat the British back with bare knuckles, for which he was deported to Calabar, where he lived and died 27 years later. So such people that were already used to their independence and ways of life, to put them together and say they cannot now discuss their future.
Is it the reason for the agitation we see in Nigeria? This idea of lack of nationhood.
In fact, it is the beginning and the end of it. I can assure you that you were talking about 3 problems. I identified that one major problem. If you don't have nationhood and nobody, then you are filling a form. After asking you for your name, the next question is place of origin. You put it town, they say local government. You put it, they say state. You put it, then they say religion. You are already being typified. You are already being profiled to know whether what we want here can come to you or not come to you.
But how do we resolve this? Because either we like it, you are an Ozekhome.
Yeah.
You have your origin.
Yes.
You are of the Edo origin.
Yes.
And if you want to drill down, you can tell who your forefathers are.
Yeah.
I am an Okimbaloye, and I can also tell who my forefathers are.
Yeah.
But can we take away the fact that we are different tongues? Our tongues differ.
No.
And presidents who have constituted conferences, at least 2 of the presidents have said, you can have every conversation, but the unity of Nigeria is non-negotiable. The former President Goodluck Jonathan said as much. In those kind of conversations, the fear of disintegration and some people wanting to exit the nation might start, don't you think?
Now, I tell you, Sheon, I am not saying every Nigerian should now be the same person. In fact, I've always argued, and I'm on record to say that of Professor Onigu Otite's 374 ethnic groups in Nigeria, through his demographic survey. He was a great sociologist that speaks over 380 languages. Each of them must have a place and be respected in where he comes from. But when you want to roughing it over others, for example, like former President Buhari calling a whole ethnic group, one of the three largest ethnic groups, the Igbos, Southeast, as a dot in the cycle. What will you call me? A minority within a minority from Ijukwe, near Agenebode, East local government area of Edo State. What are you going to call me? But in America, for example, they first ask you, what's your name? You tell them. They say, where are you from? We ask you, what do you mean? You mean where I work? Or where I schooled? Or where I live now? Or where I was born? Because each of them would have been different. But they regard themselves as Americans. So they have what you call faith in their country. We do not have faith in our country.
How do we do that?
And that is why when you go around on a Sunday, if you are go around, you will see different town unions. Where will you see a Nigerian union holding a meeting? So it's like the Bible. It says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things shall be added. If we get it right constitutionally, because the present foundations are fundamentally damaged, they are damaged. I give you an example, Sheung. If you have a house that the walls are cracking, how do you repair the walls? Do you go to the walls? You take a hammer. You begin to chisel. You chisel it with a chisel, right? Then you get cement, mortar. You call it bricklayer. I say, help me patch this wall. He patches it. In 1 or 2 months' time, more chaos, more gullies, more cracks appear on the wall. You have to look for the cause of that wall. You discover that there's a big tree in your compound whose trees have sprouted. They have become so big that they have gone towards the foundation of the house. And it's what is actually threatening it to fall. What do you do to that tree? You don't go to the tree and cut off the branches, because the branches will grow anyway again, and the walls will continue to crack. You go to the tree,
To the roots.
to the roots, uproot it.
So this solution,
Root and branches.
the solution, the proposition of the Patriot is getting to the root of Nigeria's problem.
Getting to the root of Nigeria's
So
problem.
three representation of every ethnic group.
That's what the Patriot said.
So based on the sociology's recommendation, so we'll be talking about
Just roughly 100. But the Patriots have looked at it again after further discussion that, look, we have suggested 3 representation elected on non-party basis. By the way, there are 3 modes of throwing up people to represent you: election, selection, or sortition. What do you call sortition? By lot. Now, the Patriots suggest 3 from each each state. But we have looked at it again that the ethnic nationalities in Nigeria must be represented to own a people's constitution, so that no person can say he was marginalized. And that is why the Patriots told the president that he needs to look seriously at the 2014 confab. The reason is that there were 492 members representing every aspect of the Nigerian society: elder statesmen and women, the youth, students,
the market people,
the market women and men,
manufacturers,
the physically disabled, the manufacturers, the private
lawyers,
sector, the police, the military, professional groups, the traditional institution, the civil society. We were all there. lecturers, judges. They threw them off from different organizations, had different ways of throwing up their own representatives. Like the students, they had to go for their own election. The NGOs, they threw up their own. So everybody that came to Abuja here for those 6 months was a representative of certain people. The government nominated some few people. That was all. But and we made over 600 recommendations, which if the Buhari government had looked at, or the present government looks at, as we told Mr. President, some of us who are nation builders, I'm not a politician. I regard myself as a nation builder, a human rights activist, a pro-democracy campaigner. I sit down to think and bellyache about the problems of Nigeria. Do you know, Sheon, that as far back as 1986, I had taken the then President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida at the Armed Forces Ruling Council, AFRC, at the Attorney General to court against removal of petroleum subsidy. The judgment was December 29, 1987 by Justice Agoro. Just Google National Concord, Mike Ozekhome, Babangida. 37 years ago, this oil subsidy we are still fighting over today. Because my argument was that you cannot be made to pay for a product that you are having, like other people do not have it. What late Professor Cloud Ake would describe as a disarticulate economy, where you produce what you don't consume and consume what you don't produce. That thing I saw 37 years ago is what we are still fighting over today. And guess what again? I was the first proponent that June 12th should be a Democracy Day and not May 29, which is a mere handover. I fought this over the years. Later in 2018, General Muhammadu Buhari as president made June 12th the Democracy Day. The same way at the 2014 National Conference, I moved a motion that Nigeria should go back to the first national anthem, the original anthem.
Although a lot of people disagree with it.
Yes, a lot of people have disagreed, but the entire 492 members, one of the few instances in which there was mass consensus, they brought that motion and we all stood up instantaneously and sang Nigeria We Hate Thee. I wrote a book
Chief Ozekhome,
by that title, Nigeria We Hate Thee.
In all of this, you've mentioned one major issue that is of paramount importance if we need to reform this country and if we need to go forward, which is the question of national unity. I'd like you to also explain how this will benefit the Nigerian poor, because a lot of them, when you say constitution, they will ask you who constitution helps, because what matters to them is the food on their table and the money in their pocket and how they will feed. And I'd like you to explain the nitty-gritty of how a reformation of the constitution or a birth of a new constitution will help Nigerians, especially the average person. And of course, the issue of legality.
Yeah.
The Patriots mentioned the issue of referendum, and how the National Assembly will come into. That was a major legal debate. There must be something in the minds of the Patriots that made them to stand up, come together and say, let us go to the president and discuss what was that major fear that the Patriots had.
Yes, after we had a colloquium in March this year, very big colloquium attended by president governors, past governors, president senators, House of Reps, past ones, members of the diplomatic or captains of industry, the civil society. Most humbly, I presented the paper, the lead paper, the keynote address. The Patriots came to the conclusion that Nigeria was on the precipice, on a dangerous precipice. And we cannot continue to pretend. You have a sore, then you bandage it and put sweet-smelling Sasarobia or Herman or Hugo Boss perfume, and you pretend that the sore is not there. It's there. So they saw the clear and present danger of Nigeria losing it.
In what sense?
In the sense that Nigeria is a pluralistic society. Pluralistic societies are governed by constitutions that take into consideration the peculiarity of the people, usually through federal constitutions, not the type of unitary system we are operating. The patriots gave the example of Canada, India, and Switzerland. Pluralistic societies that have their constitution subjected to the people in a referendum, and they are united. The patriots gave the example of Yugoslavia, which was under former Tito. They are broke up into 7 countries, independent states. The patriots gave the example of Czechoslovakia. After living together for 100 years, they are broke up into Czech and Slovakia. Coming home, we gave the example of Sudan here. They had lived together for 3,000 years. Few years ago, they broke up into Sudan and Southern Sudan, and the wars have not ended. The patriots therefore felt that there is the need, the urgency of yesterday for Mr. President now to introduce a president's executive bill to the National Assembly. The fear of the National Assembly has always been that they are trying to be sidelined. No. Although the present constitution being militarily imposed as a schedule attached to Decree number 24 of 1999 is not a people's constitution, lying in its preamble that we the people of Nigeria made it when it was never subjected to a referendum or plebiscite.
But are those
we still know that it is still the constitution we are using.
They are constitutional legal minds that have also argued that when we say it's not the people's constitution, that non-Nigerians did not draft that constitution.
When they drafted it,
and you know eminent lawyers who came out together
was it subjected
to help draft that
was it subjected to any referendum in
there are those who also say that which countries of the world do you have every person of the country input
I will give examples during this program. Their inputs are usually through a referendum, a plebiscite. It was done by the Old Midwest region on the 10th of August, 1963, for them to break away from Western region to become the 4th region in Nigeria. Now, coming to that issue, you must have the National Assembly participating because they are in place. Their job is that they can only amend a constitution under Section 9. A National Assembly cannot make a new constitution. It is the constitution that makes a National Assembly because the tail cannot wag the dog. But the National Assembly under Section 4 and various sections of the constitution have the powers to make laws for the peace, order, and good government of Nigeria. And one of the laws that the patriots advised Mr. President to do an executive bill is to say, make a law convoking a constituent assembly. You can also call it constitutional assembly, constitutional congress, or constituent congress. It has many names. Make a law convening it. Then allow people to be elected on non-political partisan basis while allowing the ethnic nationalities to be there thrown up by their people. This constituent assembly will now take into consideration the problems we are having. What are these problems? Of course, they will call for memorandum from the Nigerian people. They will look at the problems and then make a brand new constitution. It is not ended. That brand new constitution must be subject.
3 Dinge, die ich an Wise liebe.
Nummer 1. Einfache Nutzung und transparente Überweisungen ins Ausland.
The process by which a constitution comes into being is even more important than the contents of the constitution. When the people vote on the items, yea or nay, and they agree finally, then you have what you call a people's constitution or an autochthonous indigenous constitution of the people. Because the people knew that They participated.
So let me ask you.
They own it.
Yeah.
So they believe in it. They believe that this is now how we should take Nigeria
forward. Must we constitute a constituent assembly before we can fix it, get a new constitution?
Yeah, because the people are saying that the 492 members, which would have been a damn good one, it was not a constituent assembly. The same naysayers. We have to have a constituent assembly. And only the National Assembly can pass a law.
So what happens? Are you looking
at the draft constitution will now be signed by Mr. President.
Are you looking at a possible lacuna? For example, if there is a referendum, a plebiscite to the effect that the people of Nigeria are saying we do not want a bicameral legislature. And that's how it's going to be. You think that that's the way out? Because the meaning of democracy, Sheung, are defined famously on the 19th of November, 1863, by Abraham Lincoln, during his Gettysburg Declaration. It's government of the people, for the people, and by the people. That's why we call it democracy. Demos, people, cratic, power. Prof, that's power of the people. Now, the point I'm making, do you understand what I mean? That there will be recommendations that we go into the referendum of, that we dissolve. Yeah, we dissolve the current political constitution of Nigeria. Sure, because how do you then transit? That will be. We have at least 9 to 13 off-cycle elections in states. We do not have a regular. Just about 29 states have governorship election constituted or done at the same time in the normal election cycle. Now it then means that. Let's assume that the Nigerian people say, we do not want states again. Yeah. And we want regions. Yes. What then happens? How do you transit into that? These are matters of details that will be in the law to be promulgated by the National Assembly. There are so many details. Do you think that the President Bola Tinubu has the political will to make that happen? He should have the political will, because these problems will not go away. But how do you solve poverty constitution with solving poverty? How is it an antidote to poverty? Oh, it is. Is it an antidote to the killings in the Northwest? Let me tell you, the killings you are seeing, the poverty, the corruption, they are all symptoms of a larger problem, which is the basis of what we are talking about. It's a larger problem. When you solve it, other things will fall in place. If the people decide, for example, that we do not need a wasteful National Assembly of 109 senators, 360 members of the House of Representatives, each of whom has special advisors, the special advisors having special assistants, the special assistants having personal assistants, the personal assistants having personal aides. Then you have one position carrying accretions up to 15 to 50, draining the little money that we have. And also maybe that they will also discuss how a state government, unlike any other federal state in some part of the world, we have resources under their soil and they are not able to benefit from it. These are some of the issues. For example, if the people decide that, look, we need only one. We don't need a bicameral legislation. We need unicameral. And maybe on a part-time 360 members are enough. Or if all of them must stay, then we call it part-time basis. They are actually operating on part-time basis. Under the Constitution, if you attend for 6 months in a year, you have passed. So if you say part-time basis, then only those who have the interests of Nigeria at heart, who are not going to Abuja to make money, you will see coming up. If the president, they can also say, Professor Ozekhome, if President Tinubu today proposes an executive bill to the National Assembly for the constitution of a constituent assembly for the purpose of birthing a new constitution, you think this present National Assembly, as it is presently constituted, will agree to it? That is knowing that they might be a prime target of such, let me tell you, a process. That is why they just have to agree. Because the problem will not go away. Like Naaman the leper in the Bible. He had to dip himself into River Jordan 7 times to become cleansed of his leprosy. We must clean ourselves of our political leprosy. And it requires the will of Mr. President and the National Assembly and a lot of patriotism, trailer loads of patriotism. Because the problem will not go. By the way, why are we still discussing this problem? Why has it not gone away? We thought after Jonathan,
yes,
I discussed this for almost a year.
Yes.
So in 2014, I've discussed it as a journalist in 2005. Covered.
It will continue to come up.
We've had,
know why?
in fact, there was Pronaco. You remember?
Pronaco was there.
In Lagos, although it was not government constituted.
Yeah. We all wrote. We all participated.
Yeah.
We all participated.
Yeah, but the question is that the way forward is fundamental. And
it's fundamental.
The political elite, as presently constituted, whether or not they will agree to this.
Well, the political elite has to agree. Let me tell you, if you are driving a car and the car has a knocked engine, is it not the engine you should look at? You begin to panel beat the car, spraying it with beautiful paint, buy new tires. Will that move the car? I am saying that the engine of the Nigerian state for now is knocked. And it is giving rise to all this mutual suspicion, religious intolerance. Why we did not be demonstrating more against Tinubu when they did not demonstrate against Buhari for the 8 years he was here? Why did the Igbo decide to quietly eschew this last protest? Because they said they would be targeted. Why are some ethnic groups more involved than others? It is at the heart of the problems we are talking about. And the president needs to look at this place broken away from eastern Pakistan, Bangladesh. Right? Yeah. Prime Minister Sheikh Husani ruled there for 50 years. She was a pro-democracy icon. The people loved her. But what started as a mere students' protest on the street over preferential treatment in the civil service being given to relations of veterans gradually snowballed and got bought over by the whole people. And they went on the streets. They have been going on, right? The woman was forced to abdicate office this very month, and a former Nobel laureate of 2006
is the leader in acting capacity.
Is now the leader in active capacity. Listen, Sean, under Prime Minister Hosani, Bangladesh developed. There's no question about that. They built good roads, rail lines, factories, gave some jobs, but the timid graduates could not get jobs. And there was corruption, massive corruption. And the Prime Minister complained on one occasion that a personal aide stole $34 million, which angered the people. So what started as a small protest gradually snowballed until she was made to abdicate Dhaka, the capital city.
We cannot afford to get to
We cannot afford. That is the fear of the patron. That is the fear of a person like me. Look at Kenya.
Are we gradually moving towards it? Is that what
Nigeria is on the precipice? You are still asking me. Hold on. Yeah. Can I give you just one more example?
Just give me a moment.
Just one more example.
Because we need to go on another break. But I would like to conclude and give Nigeria the way forward and how we can permanently solve this problem, not on a temporary basis. Yes. Because we do not need Panadol to solving cancer.
That's it. Now you are talking.
We need to fix it and fix it now. We believe that Nigeria is at a tipping point. The big question is that I'm very certain that a lot of Nigerians do not care what the process or the procedure of fixing their problems permanently, if it will affect their children and great-grandchildren. But the question is that how are we going to fix it? Let's hear from Professor Michael Ozekhome in his closing argument.
Yeah. Closing argument.
Permanent fix.
Permanent fix. We must come together through this Constituent Assembly, make constitution owned by the people, subjected to their referendum so that they buy in.
So it will keep poverty? It will keep corruption?
It will. Because the people would have agreed.
Law sector, legal sector, it is said that a lot of bribery comes through the judiciary. The corruption in the judiciary is like a cancer killing the nation.
The irreducible minimum of demands would have been agreed upon by the people. Let me tell you why President Tinubu must listen seriously to people.
From his body language, does it look like he was receptive?
Yes, he was receptive, positive, okay. But he felt that economic reforms are his priority. Mr. President, sir, that's where you are missing it. Because the economic reforms themselves cannot take place under a superstructure that is fundamentally flawed. Let me tell you, SL Akintola was premier, the last premier of Western Region. AMA Akinloye, who later became chairman, I think, of the party before the PDP. He went to Akintola on a visit. He went with a cassette. He played it. He said, sir, they are praising you everywhere and calling you that you are the best. One young man, Kazim, that was with him, a personal aide, said, sir, I've listened to the cassette. It's not true, sir. That is not what the people are saying. I think the time has come for you to even resign. He said, no, these are written in a book. He said, no, it's too late now for me to resign. Of course, the problem came, he was consumed. Tafawa Balewa, as prime minister, was at the airport in Ikeja. And a journalist asked him, sir, what do you do about this wildfire burning in the western region? He said, I'm at Ikeja here, at the airport. Ikeja is a part of western region. I can't see any fire burning. Do you understand what I'm saying? Countries that subjected their constitutions after the people agreed. South Africa. You understand me? Kenya. You understand me? Slovenia. Denmark. Norway. France. Germany.
Are they better for it?
UK. They are better for it.
So Nigeria needs to take action now.
Iran. Indonesia. Malaysia. We need to take that action. We must face the bull. We must hold it by so that the bull must be driven away from the China shop in such a way that little or no harm is done to the China wares or to the shop, and the bull stays alive. Right. We must save Nigeria from herself with the urgency of yesterday. Mr. President, sir, I advise you when you were sworn in May last year, is there Google? I say, if the only thing you can first do for Nigeria is to fix Nigeria up through this people's constitution that we all believe in as to how we want to live together going forward. I said, you will see other problems falling in, being solved by themselves.
Naturally.
Right. They will fall in place.
We are totally out of time, but I must sincerely thank you tonight for your intervention.
Yes,
and extend my regards to all the members of the Patriot and every Patriot that is not a member of the Patriot that are of the Nigerian stock.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you, because we realize that we have a problem as a people.
Yes.
And we are moving gradually with the consciousness in the mind of a lot of Nigerians.
Yes.
Nigerians are no longer docile.
Yes.
They have now realized that their destinies are now in their hands.
The youth, the Gen 6, the Gen Z, they are all protesting because their yesterday has been stolen from them.
And we cannot allow today also to be stolen and flutter away.
Today has also been stolen. And they are now arguing that you can't steal my future again. That is why they are on the streets. Sir, Mr. President, sir, don't let anybody deceive you. Go out by yourself. There is hunger, there is starvation, there is anger.
The truth is that 85% of Nigerians, what they're after right now is how this government is going to reduce or solve the suffering, the hardship Nigerians are going through. And also, if this new constitution is going to solve all the problems that we are having in Nigeria, let it be. And if this constitution is going to make sure that we go back to regional government, or rather, we have a referendum and ask Nigerians, do we still want to belong in this country called One Nigeria? Because as far as many Nigerians are concerned, like this country is not working, like Nigeria is not working. So if this new constitution is going to, give us the opportunity to go back to regional government or have referendum to ask Nigerians if we still want to belong to this country called Nigeria. So we are in for it, my people. So I don't know what you think about what Professor Mike Ozekhome said here, which I would love you guys to leave your thoughts in the comment section as always. And please, if today is your first time in this channel, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'm going to see you guys in my next update. Goodbye for now.
Welcome to Chamress News TV.